Have you ever noticed how the people who seem to understand life most deeply are the ones who stop talking about it? I want you to truly feel that question. Don't just hear the words. Think of someone you may have known, or perhaps someone you've only read about or seen from a distance. There is a certain quality to them, isn't there? A stillness. It's not the stillness of a stagnant pond, but the stillness of the deep ocean, a profound quiet that exists not for lack of movement, but because the movements within are so vast and slow that they appear from the surface as perfect calm. They listen more than they speak. Their presence is felt not by what they add to a room, but by the space they effortlessly create within it. They are, in a word, unimpressive. And by that I mean they no longer feel the need to perform the exhausting task of impressing anyone, least of all themselves. Now contrast this with the spiritual marketplace. The loudest voices in the room, the ones with the most fervent declarations, the most elaborate systems, the most passionate certainty, are they truly the wisest? Or are they simply the most enchanted by the sound of their own seeking? The most frantic seekers with their libraries of sacred texts and their calendars full of workshops often seem to be the farthest from home, precisely because they are so busy searching for it that they never stop to realize they have never, not for a single moment, left its porch. And yet there's something happening right now beneath the noise and glare of our civilization. A quiet exodus. It is not a march of bodies, not a physical migration to mountaintops, though that may be a part of it for some. No, this is a migration of presence. It is a subtle but decisive withdrawal of attention. People who once sought enlightenment with a burning, almost violent intensity, who wrestled with their demons and angels in the public square, are now fading into the background. Their pronouncements cease. They decline the debates. They are withdrawing, not in anger, not in disappointment, but with a slow, knowing smile. They are becoming silent. Why? It is not a failure. It is not a surrender to the world's weight. It is, I would suggest, the most natural and elegant thing in the world. It is the universe in the form of a human being remembering itself. And this remembering, my friends, begins not with a bang, but with a joke. A cosmic joke of such sublime proportions that, when you finally truly get the punchline, you don't stand up and give a speech. You don't write a book. You don't form a new school of thought. You simply fall silent. A wonderful, deep, rich silence that isn't empty, but full of everything. It is the silence from which all sound emerges and to which all sound returns. So let us explore this quiet disappearance together. Let us not misinterpret it as a tragedy, a retreat, or an act of misanthropy. Let us see it for what it is, the punchline finally arriving. Let us talk about why the most awake people are no longer shouting from the rooftops, but are instead sitting in their gardens, thoroughly captivated by the way the rain beads on a leaf. You see, we are all, from the moment we learn to point a chubby finger and form the word I, playing a magnificent and utterly serious game. We call it the game of being someone. Are someone with a name, a past, a future, a story woven from triumphs and wounds, from loves lost and ambitions achieved. We polish this someone like a prized stone. We defend its borders fiercely. We dress it in the clothes of careers, in the ornaments of relationships, in the masks of social standing. And for a time, this is utterly fascinating. It is the great drama, and we are the star, the playwright, and the captivated audience all at once. Then, perhaps through a moment of searing suffering that cracks the facade, or a glimpse of incredible and asked-for beauty that stops the heart, a suspicion arises, a whisper from the depths. What if this I is not what it seems? What if this solid central character, a mirage, a composition? What if there is more? And so begins the great spiritual search. This is a beautiful, necessary, and terribly dangerous stage. It is the beginning of the end of the dream. But it often starts by weaving the most persuasive dream of all. The seeker with great courage begins to shed their old identities. I am not my job, they declare, feeling a wave of liberation. I am not my possessions, they say, giving things away. I am not this body, they intuit it, feeling expansion beyond the skin. Wonderful, a grand unburdening, a glorious fire of the vanities. But then, almost imperceptibly, with a sigh of profound relief, they pick up a new Shenia, more spiritually respectable set of luggage. The labels change. I am a seeker. I am on the path. I am awake. I am enlightened. This, my dear friends, is the first and most hilarious trap, the spiritual ego. It is the ultimate act of the con artist. the separate self saving itself from oblivion by putting on a robe and lighting some incense. It is like a thief who, being chased by the gods, cleverly ducks into the palace, dons the uniform of the captain of the guard, and emerges to lead the search for himself. He is now wearing the uniform of authority, of legitimacy, of the seeker of truth. But the fundamental motive, the preservation of the separate I, remains intact, now in a more secure and powerful position than ever before. This new spiritual self is a fascinating creature. It loves to talk about its journey, its insights, its struggles and breakthroughs. It displays its badges with pride, its 10,000 hours of meditation, its impeccably clean vegan diet, its disdain for the lower vibrations of worldly things. It looks out at the unawakened masses, rushing about in their mundane lives with a mixture of pity and a secret unacknowledged superiority. Poor them, it thinks, still lost in the dream of Maya, chasing illusions. If only they knew what I know. But can you see the magnificent contradiction? The very act of identifying as awake or enlightened creates a new duality, a new separation. It creates a me who is awake and a you who is asleep. This is the ego's final masterful gambit. It has not been dissolved, it has simply been promoted. It has moved from the trading floor to the boardroom, from the battlefield to the war college. It has taken the very force that was meant to liberate you, spiritual awareness, and used it as the foundation for its most sophisticated identity yet. As I've said before, the ego is a social institution with no physical reality. You are a function of all that is. When you stand up and say, I am spiritually awake, you have made the boundless, unnamable reality of your being into another thing, another possession for the ego to claim. You have built a beautiful new cage gilded with wisdom and perfumed with incense, and you have called it liberation. You are the fish born and raised in the endless, sustaining water, who has now dedicated its life to the frantic, serious, and self-important seeking of water, all the while looking down on the other fish for not seeking it with the same fervor. This stage is by its nature noisy. It is full of declarations, of teachings, of shared insights and heated debates. It is the wave at its most dramatic crest, shouting to the other waves, look at me. I have discovered I am water. I am the most watery, the most essential, the most profound wave of all. But the ocean, the vast, deep, silent ocean from which all waves arise and into which they all fall, does not announce itself. It does not need to. It simply is. And the journey from the noisy crest of the wave to the silent depth of the ocean is the journey of the true disappearance. So the seeker stands there holding the shattered pieces of their most prized possession, their spiritual identity. The realization has struck not as a gentle dawn, but as a lightning bolt. This too is a costume. This robe of the awakened one is just another uniform. I have not found the exit. I have merely moved to a more elegantly decorated waiting room. This moment is both terrifying and brimming with a strange, unnameable promise. It is the death of the last best hope the ego had for its own survival. And what is the immediate instinctive reaction to this death? To flee, to escape. If the world of spiritual achievement is just another gilded cage, then the problem must be the world itself. The entire structure of society, with its vain ambitions, its trivial conversations, its obsession with surfaces, it all becomes the enemy. The mind in its endless cunning devises a new and final plan. I must withdraw. I will become a true ascetic. I will go to a cabin in the woods far from the madding crowd. I will sit in a cave and be so still that even time forgets me. I will renounce it all, shed every attachment, and through this supreme act of will I will finally truly disappear. And this, my dear friends, is the second great joke. This is the punchline that often arrives just as we are congratulating ourselves on understanding the first one. This is the wave having had a profound intuition that it is in its essence water, now deciding that the ocean is too noisy, too turbulent, too common, and attempting to paddle furiously towards some mythical pristine shore where it can be water alone. But there is no shore for the wave. Its beginning, its middle, and its end are the ocean. Its very existence is a gesture of the ocean. This frantic effort to vanish is what I call the law of reversed effort. You see, life is not something you can grasp by direct assault. It is too fluid, too subtle, too much like trying to possess a handful of smoke. The more you tighten your grip, the less you have. Think of a man trying to force himself to sleep. The more he tries, the more he concentrates on the goal of sleep, the more his mind rebels, presenting him with every worry, every memory, every sound in the house. Sleep comes only when he gives up the effort, when he surrenders the pursuit. In the same way, the harder you strive to be humble, the more you are simply watching your own performance of humility, and the actor is still center stage, the more fervently you attempt to disappear. The more solidly you exist as the one who is heroically, virtuously disappearing. The more you try to stay on the surface of the water, the more you sink. The more you try to sink, the more you stay on the surface. Imagine a man who has become deeply sensitive to what he perceives as the vulgarity of the world. The advertisements scream at him. The politics feel like a childish squabble. The conversations at parties seem unbearably superficial, he says. This is all illusion. This is samsara. I must transcend it. But can you see his withdrawal is not a relaxation? It is a violent act of resistance. It is a constant internal shouting of no to the world. He is like a man who, to prove he is independent of the air, decides to hold his breath. He may last a minute, perhaps two, but his face will turn a most sincere shade of blue, and his entire being will become a testament not to his independence from air, but to his absolute and desperate need for it. The struggle itself is what defines him. This kind of disappearance is perhaps the most subtle performance of all. The eye has now taken on the role of the holy hermit, the renunciate, the one who has seen through the game. But this is just as much a social role, a character in the great play, as being the captain of industry or the life of the party. The script has changed. The costumes are more austere. The set is a forest instead of a boardroom. But the fundamental structure of the drama, the separate protagonist facing a world, remains perfectly intact. The game is still being played, only now with more rigorous and self-denying rules. The very effort to escape only confirms in the most tangible way possible the reality of the prison you believe you are in. You cannot disappear from the world because in a very real physical and metaphysical sense you are the world. Look at your hand. The atoms that form it were forged in the heart of a long dead star. The water in your body has flowed in rivers and fallen as rain for billions of years. The thoughts in your mind are shaped by a language you did not invent, by a culture that is the product of millennia. The air you breathe is the exhalation of the forests and the oceans. As I've often said, you are not a stranger in a strange land. You are not a lonely little ego inside a bag of skin. You are a function and action of the entire universe. Trying to disappear from society is like your liver suddenly developing a sense of spiritual superiority and deciding it is too pure for the body attempting to leap out and meditate in solitude on the kitchen table. It is not only futile, it is a fundamental misunderstanding of its own nature. The liver is the body, the person is the world. And the attempt to vanish is therefore the one act that guarantees you will feel more solidly, separately, and frustratingly present than ever before. So we find ourselves at a fascinating impasse. The spiritual persona is a beautifully decorated cage. The aggressive attempt to vanish is a performance that only makes the actor more visible. If both the seeker and the renunciate are still playing roles, what path remains? What is the nature of this authentic, quiet disappearance that feels less like an action and more like a sigh of relief? The answer lies not in a new strategy, but in a complete reorientation of understanding. It requires peeing behind the curtain of reality itself and seeing the machinery not of a solemn, purposeful factory, but of a playground. The universe is not a problem to be solved, but a symphony to be heard, a dance to be joined. Its fundamental nature is not seriousness, but play. And the oldest, most profound game at the heart of all this is the game of hide and seek. Now ponder this. What does the ultimate God Brahman, the Tao, the Source, do? If it is already eternal, boundless and complete, what could possibly be its motivation? It cannot acquire anything. It cannot go anywhere it isn't already. So what is left? Play drama, art. And the most thrilling game a unified singular reality can play is to pretend with absolute conviction that it is not unified, to forget its own nature, to hide from itself. God likes to play hide and seek, but because there's nothing outside of God, he has no one but himself to play with. So he gets out of himself and he plays that he is not himself. And we, you and I, and every leaf and every galaxy are that game in progress. We are the ultimate reality contracted into a single focused point of view, whispering to itself with magnificent, heartbreaking sincerity, I am only this. I am only this body, this name, this story. I was born into a world I never made. I have problems that are uniquely mine,